I'm not defensive about it.
Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another live stream, and welcome to a new show. The show with no name right now. So, guys, please let us know in the chat something that we could call it, because right now there are zero ideas on the table. So make sure you get your suggestions in the chat. Big up to everyone that's locked in. Make sure you're smashing up the like, subscribe if you're new around here, all of that good stuff. You guys know what to do. And it's a big week for Chelsea. Champions League is back. Trip to Old Trafford. Lots to dive into. A bit of transfer news as well. A bit of squad stuff in general. But before we dive into things, guys, just a quick reminder, make sure you check out Jerseys FC Soccer Shop. Link is in the description. Use code BLUEBROTHER for 20% off. You know, great quality, affordable prices, names, numbers, patches, whatever you want on the back. Make sure you're looking good throughout the season, home kit, away kit, or third kit. And yeah, use code BLUEBROTHER 20% off, guys. You don't want to miss out. Nina, how you doing? You good?
Yeah, all good, mate. Excited. Yeah, all good.
Good. Let's say hello to a few people in the chat, and then we'll get cracking. He has to come in January. Oh, yeah, we'll get on to that. Emegha can join. He could, potentially, yes. Yes, big up, brother. Yes, hello, mate. All good. The thing is, it might not be on a Tuesday, though, so that probably doesn't work if it's not on a Tuesday. But anyway, let's dive into it. Champions League's back. Bayern Munich tomorrow. Big game to kick things off. How are you feeling about Chelsea being back in the Champions League, and how are you feeling about the game against Bayern tomorrow night?
Yeah, I mean, it feels like it's been so long, too long. I'm just really excited, and yeah, I think I don't know if it's like naive. I have a really good vibe about tomorrow's game, and I feel like it is going to be positive for us in many ways. The very least, we're back in the Champions League, so I feel like whatever happens tomorrow, it's a good day. It's an indication that Chelsea are back where we belong, and we've endured this rough journey of going elsewhere. We went through the Conference League, been there, done that, won it, but now we're back truly where we belong, up against the very best in Europe. So yeah, it's difficult not to be excited, and obviously arguably the most historic game for us you could have from the get-go as well. Instantly brings up the best memories. Certainly my favorite game I've watched in my lifetime. Best memories from that 2012 final. So yeah, what is there not to be excited about? I know Bayern Munich are obviously the toughest side you could probably go up against, and I think I read somewhere that they haven't lost an opening game in 21 appearances, like 21 campaigns. They've not lost an opening fixture in the Champions League. So hey, you know that Chelsea like to break stats, but yeah, I feel like it's going to be a great test and a real sort of indication of just how far we've come as a team, where we're at. It gives us a chance to just test the waters. It's game one. We're playing away from home at Bayern's ground, and I think that, you know, a lot of these players, it's their first time. So yeah, a lot of firsts, but definitely for us fans, it is like being back where it's like going back to a holiday resort that you've just really, really missed. And you just want to get back there.
Well, it was the biggest night in our history. So, you know, it's obviously got fond memories. I mean, we must have been back there since 2012. I mean, surely we have. I actually can't remember off the top of my head, but we must have played Bayern Munich.
We have. I mean, we played them in the round of 16, didn't we, in 2019-20, like COVID, no?
Do you know what? I actually can't remember. But yeah, anyway.
Wasn't it like the 7-1 on aggregate or something like that? It was
absolutely battered.
We got battered, yeah. Do you not remember home and away? I'm pretty sure it was COVID.
I must have erased that from memory. That's long gone. Yeah. Maybe we did get smashed. Guys in the chat, let us know. Did we get smashed by Munich a few years ago? I must have forgotten about that.
Sure.
I must have forgotten about that very, very quickly. That was swiftly eliminated from the thought process. Obviously, yeah. Say first time in a couple of years we've been in. First time for a lot of these players in the Champions League. Or a lot of these players have got very limited Champions League experience. Yes, we've got experience of playing twice a week, but this is going to be very different to last season with the Conference League. We're not going to be having two different teams for the Champions League. We're going to have to cope playing pretty much, you know, top players twice a week. We will obviously manage the squad. We will rotate to a certain degree, but it's not going to be wholesale change. I mean, how do you see this squad adapting to the step up back to the Champions League?
Yeah, well, that's kind of the biggest question mark, isn't it? Because when you've at least seen some of these players, you know kind of what to expect, but it's such new territory for a lot of these players. And again, it's going to be, yeah, it is going to be work in progress. But I think the new format allows for us to make mistakes during the 8 match days we have because, yeah, you're not going to win all the games, but you can still lose a number. Obviously, we're not going for that. We want to win all games, but you're still allowed to make mistakes and progress into the knockouts. But I feel one thing I don't doubt with this group of players is they're just excited for any challenge. And I get this vibe that they're always just ready to take that next step. You know, they showed it, they stepped up in the Conference League. I know for some of us fans, it was like, yeah, it's light work. But still, for a lot of those players playing in a European competition, winning, that meant a lot to them. And then they rose to the occasion of the Club World Cup. We didn't start off great, but again, we got better and better. And in the final, that was literally like the pinnacle, the peak of what we've seen our team since the takeover. So the fact that we're taking these extra steps and we've shown that we're a great tournament side, it gives me a little bit of hope. But obviously, I think tomorrow for me, the biggest thing is the mentality more than the actual capability of our players, because we have a lot of capable players and we saw that in the final against PSG, right? Coming up against the best players in the world. For me, it's more of like a mind thing tomorrow. Like, how ready are the players mentally to face Bayern Munich at their ground first game in the Champions League back, and like how we're going to actually cope with that. It's going to be intimidating, it's going to be demanding, it's going to be hostile. They've got their home fans. I don't doubt our away fans are going to be great as well. But yeah, so I think it's going to be a really big mental kind of challenge more than anything tomorrow.
Yeah, no, look, I think obviously these are the nights you want. This is what you get back into the Champions League for. You want to be playing the best teams and you want to go to the toughest places and you want to come up against the top sides. Look, Bayern are good. We know they are. Elise, Kane, Luis Diaz, you know, midfield is strong. Defensively, though, I don't think they're the best, and I think they do give up opportunities and they do give up chances. So we will have chances tomorrow. We will have opportunities, but the thoughts of, you know, Mike, of Elise, Kane and Luis Diaz going up against Tosin and Chalobah it's a bit worrying. I have to be honest, you know. Look,
Yeah,
Tosin and
especially
Chalobah,
one-on-one.
yeah, I mean, Tosin and Chalobah have been solid and they've done a decent job, right? But this is a different level now compared to what you might face in the Premier League. There's very few teams that we're going to face in the Premier League that are going to have an attack as good as what Bayern Munich have got, particularly of the form that the players are in. Kane is a joke. Elise is playing unbelievable. And obviously Luis Diaz has had a pretty good start since joining from Liverpool. So I do worry about us defensively a little bit, you know, with that attack going up against those two centre-backs and whatnot. Let's see what Sanchez has got in store for us as well in this game. He had a decent game against Brentford, made a couple of really good saves, in fairness to him. But I don't see this being a massively high-scoring game. I think there'll be one goal in it either way. But again, I don't know what sort of lineup he's going to go with. I presume you just revert back to your strongest team for this game. You know, yes, you've got 8 games in the league phase, and so there is movement to drop points or to lose games, and you'd rather lose a game at the start than lose games sort of in the middle or towards the end where it could be disastrous. Losing your first game, we obviously don't want to lose our first game, but if you're going to lose any game, losing your first one is not the end of the world because you've got 7 to put it right. But you do want to get the points on the board as quickly as possible. I mean, in terms of a team, look, we saw the changes against Brentford. We knew that those were going to happen. It was a difficult evening for a lot of those guys that came into the side. Do you expect Maresca to just go straight in with the strongest team for this one?
Yeah, 100%. No doubt in my mind. Absolutely. And that is exactly what he should do. Do you know what I mean? I think we spoke about the fact that we understood why the changes and rotations were made against Brentford. And again, of course, he had one eye on today, and he's going to have to obviously play his strongest 11, like you said, rather than pick 2 teams and one to face Bayern midweek and then another to face Man United at the weekend. That's not going to be the case. But yeah, I definitely feel like we'll see our obviously best squad. I mean, it's just such a shame that Levi Colwill is out and injured. He would have been right in this starting 11. And it is really, like you said, a case of our defense is probably our biggest weakness going into this one, and you do worry about our defense going up against Bayern's attack. There's such a wealth of talent there, and like I said, for me, the biggest problem is our one-on-one defending. We saw it time and time again. It has been exposed in the Premier League, so that is a worry. But you know, in terms of that lineup that we saw against PSG in the final, I think it's pretty much going to be the same case. I'd be interested to see, like what Top Dog says there with Reece James and how he's going to utilize him, because I think that's going to be quite a massive puzzle. I think Reece James is probably, and the way he's utilized tomorrow is going to be a real big decider in how that game goes for us, in my opinion.
I mean, Reece has only started 1 game out of 4 in the league for us.
But he's going to start tomorrow, though, for sure.
Well, you'd think so, but I don't think it's a certainty. I don't think it's a certainty that he does.
Really? I think he has to. Well, I think he will. I hope he does.
He needs to. But what I'm saying is, I don't think it's like 100%. A guarantee. Reece James is absolutely going to start this game. I would expect him to, but it's no guarantees. You know, obviously, I'm not surprised he didn't start against Brentford because he played twice for England, and just the way that we're managing him. But I could easily see Gusto being used in this game as well to overlap on that right-hand side. It does feel weird talking about...
But that does make us defensively weaker.
Oh, I mean, possibly. But it does feel weird talking about Reece James and basically him not being a guaranteed starter in this team every week. I mean, like the idea of Reece James not starting every week for Chelsea would be unheard of. I know we're managing his minutes but he's been fit now since he returned in January. This is the longest period he's been fit for quite a while. I get it, you don't want to run him into the ground, you don't want to take unnecessary risks, but at some point, you're either accepting that this is what Reece James is going to be now, or you put him into the team and he should be starting most weeks. I don't know if we're still being overly cautious with him. I don't really know.
Yeah, I agree. I think I certainly wouldn't have expected that Reece James wouldn't have started this much in the start of our Premier League campaign. But I think one thing is for sure, I think out of all the managers we've had, Maresca's probably been the best and most cautious at managing Reece James's minutes. Would you agree? I feel like every single time Reece has been out for a long spell, all our managers, like in the last few years, have rushed him back, and then it's just come back to bite us because he's picked up an injury ever so quickly.
I agree, but I think part of that is down to the fact that we've actually got options now.
Yeah,
beforehand, when Reece wasn't playing and he wasn't fit, we had an aging Azpilicueta whose legs were gone and he was getting cooked most weeks. So that's why he was probably rushed back in those instances. Whereas now you have got Gusto, you've got...
Even though he doesn't play with Gusto that much, though, he's shown it. Like, why did Fofana start at right back as opposed to...
that was the one thing I was confused about in the Brentford game. But Gusto, to be fair, has been good when he's played this season. He was decent against West Ham, you know, overlapping with Esteval, cutting in on that right. I think, look, you've got different options. I think when you play Reece, you're definitely better defensively. But he doesn't seem to get forward as much. And I think that's probably what we have to accept now, is that the days of Reece James being a fullback that bombs up and down the pitch for Chelsea, I'm not saying they're 100% gone, but they are now few and far between. But you absolutely, if you're going to Bayern Munich in a Champions League away from home, it's your first game of the league phase and you're back in the competition again. You absolutely have to be starting your captain. I just don't see how that's even a thing that you wouldn't start your captain in that big a game.
No, I don't know. I don't imagine a scenario. Maybe I'm silly, but I don't imagine a scenario that Reece James isn't in our starting lineup tomorrow. And I think it will raise a lot of eyebrows. And you know, I don't know, like you say, it goes beyond his footballing ability. Is the leadership there? It's the fact that Reece James is the only player left from our Champions League winning squad. Even when we played Bayern Munich that last time out, which was 5 years ago, still the only player remaining there. So, you know, you're talking about coming back into a Champions League campaign. How are you going to leave out the player that's been there, done that, and has led or been part of, you know, Chelsea's success in this competition? So I don't know. It's going to be a strange one. I can't really put my finger on it. I like the fact that he's been cautious, but then there is being overly cautious as well. Like Reece does look fit to me, and I think in this game you've spared him the starts in the last 4 games, fine, but start him tomorrow. I think it's really really
Yeah,
important that
I
we
mean,
do.
to be fair, you could see them both starting. You could see, obviously
Yeah.
they both started in the Club World Cup final. I know you have now got Andre Santos, which should negate the need to actually start Reece in midfield. I don't think we need to be seeing Reece starting in midfield now that we've got Santos, now that Lavia is hopefully going to be back. He was in training again today. Maresca said he was close for the Brentford game. This one might be too soon for him, I don't know. But we shouldn't need to see Reece James starting in midfield in games. But I agree. I wouldn't be surprised if this were the case. I mean, I think the team pretty much picks itself, most of it. It'll be Tosin and Chalobah in the middle, I'd imagine. You say James at right back, Cucurella left back, Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez as a 2. And then you probably, the attack, you're looking at Joao Pedro, Cole Palmer in the 10, Neto or Esteval on the right. And then we might have Neto on the left or Esteval on the right if he's fully fit after being ill. Garnacho arguably could start on that left hand side. I mean, what do you think right now of the options available, Chelsea's best attack is? Because there's not many options available at number 9. And then the wide areas, there's decisions to be made as well.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think, it's interesting about Esteval because I think he's so intriguing and I'd love to start him in a game like this. I think, in terms of what he offers as a winger, he's exciting, he's great, he's an amazing, talented player, but I don't think Maresca's brave enough, certainly, to start him in a game. I think we would have seen it more in the Premier League. Why would he really go out and start him in a Champions League game midweek? I'm not too sure. For me at the moment, Pedro Neto is non-negotiable for me. I think Neto has to start.
What side, though? What side?
Pardon?
What side?
Well, that's the thing. He'd probably, because Neto can accommodate, right? It depends on who you pick and how you want to set him up. Because Neto is versatile like that. He can switch mid-game, or you can start him on the left, you can start him on the right. I think potentially, if he does start Garnacho, then Neto would be on the right, and we'd see Garnacho on the left. I think with obviously Palmer in behind Joao Pedro, that could be an idea. I don't know. I said this to you and Alex. A part of me feels like Maresca might start Jamie Gittins on the left, and I don't know. Is it going to be a case of he wants to give him the Champions League experience he does have, and against a familiar side like Bayern Munich? I'm not too sure. I would be opposed to it because I don't think Gittins did much for us at all at the weekend. And he's a lot slower. He makes more mistakes than right decisions, I think. And we can't afford that. I think we need to balance out our wings because Bayern Munich will. And I just feel like you need the same level of threat and pace on both sides. So maybe it could be a case that Garnacho and Neto do start on our flanks. In terms of pace, you probably get that balance in terms of speed, and hopefully we can see a very lively, quick thinking attack in that regard. But I'm not too sure about Esteval. I don't think he'd be started. If I'm in Maresca's mind, then probably not.
I mean, I'd love him to start, but I think having been ill, having done that travel with Brazil, still being young, I'm not saying that he wouldn't be up to it or the occasion's too big for him. I don't think it is at all. But if I'm looking at it objectively, I would probably expect Neto on the right-hand side. I'd expect Garnacho on the left, Palmer in the 10 and Joao Pedro up front. I don't think we can be going to Munich and starting Tyreek George or Mark Guiu up front.
Oh, no. There will be heads lost if that is the case.
I just don't think you can do that. Even if you wanted to play Palmer on the right, Joao Pedro in the 10, George or Guiu do not offer the same as what Liam Delap offers. For me, Pedro's best position is that 10, and you saw it against West Ham when he was played off the lap, and it kind of worked quite well. But we don't have a striker that really does that right now. You could argue that maybe Guiu could potentially do it to maybe a certain degree, but the fact he weren't even in the squad against Brentford shows to me that, all right, this guy probably will get some opportunities, but you're not going to go from not making the squad against Brentford to suddenly starting against Bayern. For me, it has to be Joao Pedro in the 9, and then you play Cole Palmer 10.
I think the left wing is the biggest question mark, in my opinion. I think, obviously, depending on where Neto starts, but for me, Joao Pedro, Neto and Palmer are non-negotiable for tomorrow.
Yeah. I would agree on that. And you are right. If he decides to play Neto, it's basically the options on out wide basically depend on where he decides to play Pedro Neto. If he
Yeah.
decides to play him on the right, then I think Garnacho's got a very good chance of starting. But if he decides to play Neto on the left, I could easily see Cole Palmer on the right-hand side, Joao Pedro in the 10. And I know it shouldn't happen. I really wouldn't rule out Tyreek George starting this game. I know, I know, but the way that it seems to be going, he did it against Fulham when Delat went off. I know he didn't have a Guiu then, but he did it against Fulham. And then the fact that he then did it again against Brentford. I know he come on up front in the second half, but then he quickly switched him out wide, and he was actually okay when he was out wide. I wouldn't be surprised if we did see a Tyreek George start, which is kind of mental, really.
I will scream. I will scream.
Well, there's not really much we can do about it, but I don't think we can
actually scream.
But I don't think it's a ridiculous thing to say. I really don't.
I think at the very least, though, would you not expect Mark Guiu to be on the bench?
Oh, I'd expect him to be in the squad tomorrow. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. If he's not on the bench, then that's mad. There's definitely something a bit weird. There's definitely something a bit weird going on there. But yeah, look, the attack I think is pretty decent. I mean, what did you make? Obviously, Facundo Buonanotte is now added to the squad, having originally missed out because Asugu has got a long-term injury, so he's in. What did you make of him against Brentford? I think maybe perhaps a surprise start. He played 45 minutes. For me, I thought he looked okay. He looked decent on the ball. He looks solid technically. He looks like a sound technical player. But he looked nice on the ball. A few good touches here and there. One opportunity where he probably should have shot rather than looking for a pass. But I thought he looked okay. It looks like there's a basis of something to work with. What were your thoughts on what we saw from him in that 45 minutes?
Yeah, I thought he was all right. I don't think I was particularly overly impressed, or I was, over the moon, ecstatic, really, really impressed. I think, yeah, he's got potential. He's good, but I don't think he's ready, in my opinion. And, you look at a lot of those moments where he did look great. I think even still, like, he's got a nice touch. He did the nice sort of pretty flick or whatever, and then it was like that last kind of decision you make is still lacking, and that's normal. It's going to come with his inexperience and his age, but I'm not looking at him and particularly thinking there's a room for a starting spot for him. No, I think he's a player that we're going to work with. He's exciting, and if they've made a decision to include him in the UCL squad, then clearly that's great. They see something there, but it's a young player. Exciting, but how many times have I said that in the past and it's really come back to bite me?
I just don't know how many opportunities this lad's going to get.
Probably not many.
That would be my thing. I don't see him starting that many games for us. Because if we're being honest, right, he's mainly number 10 cover. He can play on the right hand side as well, but he's mainly a number 10 cover.
Maybe for the cup games, yeah, great.
Sure. We're playing the cup games, but I mean, when everyone's fit, right? We're talking just week in, week out in the Premier League.
Oh,
if everyone's fit, then Cole Palmer's first choice 10. Then I would say it was Joao Pedro. So really, you're looking at Buonanotte is really third choice in that number 10 role, depending on where he decides to play Joao Pedro. So look, there'll be some opportunities, but I just think the whole sort of deal around him was a bit weird.
Yeah, and he missed that. Well, he missed not an opportunity to score as well.
He did. He tried to pass it.
He's not ready because
he tried to pass it to someone. I can't remember who it was.
1-1-1. Just take the shot. He had a clean opportunity there, but overthought it. That tells me he's ready.
I mean, a couple of other things briefly on this Bayern game before we move on. Obviously, we're coming up against Nicolas Jackson again sooner than I think any of us would. I think sooner than any of us would have expected. I don't think he'll start. I'm sure he'll feature in some capacity from the bench. The way that football tends to go, I wouldn't be surprised if he did score against us potentially. But what are your thoughts on obviously him and kind of the way that it finished at Chelsea and whatnot?
Yeah, I don't have any bad feelings towards Nicolas Jackson, to be honest with you. I really don't. I'm a fan that always was very harsh on him, and I always criticised him because I thought, Yeah, he had some great output, and actually, when you look at it on paper, the numbers were decent, but also conversion rate for me was always the biggest problem. And there was so many games where he was to blame for even not scoring a clear-cut opportunity or just fluffing an opportunity that potentially gave us 3 points instead of one. I always say he was good at scoring first, never great at being the decisive match winner, though, ever, really. And I just think, yeah, he was good. He was good. I don't really have that much to say about him. I was more concerned about the fact that we didn't really, again, address the fact that now we are short on the ground with potentially just having Joao Pedro there. And obviously, we're not really favouring Mark Yu, or obviously he's experimenting with Tyreek George, whatever. But it was more of a case of have we really thought this through than, oh, I'm sad that Nicolas Jackson as a player is going, if that makes sense. And I think, fine, but that was it. Again, he squandered a lot of opportunities. Maybe had some bad luck at times, but it was more Nicolas Jackson. Yeah, just the conversion rate for me was the biggest thing. But yeah, like you say, it would be so typical for him to come on late and do something to harm us. And you just know that he's got a little bit of bad blood towards us right now, calling us his former club or whatever, and maybe being sad about how this whole deal thing has gone down and he's going back. But yeah, I don't know. I personally have no bad feelings towards Jackson. But again, what really is he going to do for himself at Bayern as a player? Maybe he'll get some game time here and there, but never anything more than a super sub at best if, Kane's a bit of the season.
I'm not really sure how much he's going to play. He's essentially really swapped being a squad player at Chelsea to be a squad player at Bayern, and that's fair enough. It's his career, it's up to him. But I don't see there being drastically more game time at Bayern Munich than there would have been at Chelsea this season. But look, we'll wait and see. Yes, he is eligible to play because the Premier League is the only league that does that loan thing where you can't play against your parent club. Every other league, it doesn't have that rule. It's only the Premier League. So in La Liga, Bundesliga, whatever it is, or if you loan someone abroad, those rules don't apply. So yeah, it would be interesting, wouldn't it, for him to come on and probably do something. Lastly, on this game, what are you thinking prediction wise? Obviously, you don't want to get off to a loss. For me, I think that I think we can get something from this game. I'm not naive enough to think we're going to go there and win, but I think we're more than capable of getting a draw. I'll probably go with something safe like a 1-1.
I actually think I wouldn't be upset really about that if we go to Bayern Munich upon our return to the Champions League with this group of players who have so much to show and so much potential, and that is our starting point. I think that would be decent. Have a good go. They just won 5-0 as well at the weekend, didn't they? And I think they've been firing. They've won all their games from the get-go. Again, their defense is on. So yeah, I mean, tough team to face on your opening day, and they haven't lost a game, like I said, in their 21 appearances in the Champions League on the opening day. So yeah, that's going to be tough. But I said I think we can get something there, and if that something is a point, I'd be perfectly happy with that, because more than anything, I'd love to see a good performance. I'd love to see us actually go out there with a clear game plan, execute it well, and just to show Bayern Munich and everyone else in this competition that, we've deservedly gotten here. Don't underestimate us. And again, we know what the best version of Chelsea looks like. So I'm not worried that we could reach that again at some point in the Champions League, even if it's not from match day 1. You've still got 8 games there in the league phase to show what you can do, and you're going to come up against some really good teams. Like we've got Barcelona to play as well. Yeah. So yeah, I'm just excited more than anything. But I'd be really, really happy with the draw and a really great performance. So yeah, I'd take that. And look, if we do narrowly lose as well, it's not going to be cause for head loss. It shouldn't be cause for head loss. Do you know what I mean?
No, its context is key as well.
But also, I do want to say that there is a very different feeling going into the Champions League this season, whereas, in our 22-23 season, like when we played Real Madrid in that very last, what was it, the quarterfinal that we lost?
We lost, under Tuchel, where we were 3-0 up and then we binned it, yeah.
Yeah, so again, like that, we knew that there was nothing for us in that competition then. At least I did. Like, even if you remember Borussia Dortmund and how we all had to like go to Stamford Bridge, hype ourselves up, like actually believe we could get something out of it, and we did. That genuinely was like probably one of the highest highs at that point, because
there weren't many to go with, was there?
Yeah, I know, but even so, I'm just trying to say the feeling is so different, because then I genuinely knew we couldn't get anything out of that competition. It was just about how far can we actually like crawl, and then obviously Real Madrid was the killer there. But again, I feel a lot more confident as our, like, as a team, as a where we are in our project, if you like to call our favorite word. And I think we can have a good go in this competition. And more than anything, like, hello, we were in the Conference League last year, we're back in the Champions League, so we're doing something right. But yeah, more than anything, I just want to watch a really good game. That's it.
Yeah, no, I do agree on that. Yeah, we just need to get the context is key. Look, if we do lose, it wouldn't be a surprise. There's no shame in going to Bayern Munich and losing, but the context of it is really key. You know, if we turn up, we compete, we look good, we create chances, we give a really good account of ourselves.
We take the chances as well, because like you said, we can get the better of their defense. I don't think their defense is like all polished. Do you know what I mean? But for us, it's almost like, can we take our chances? And when given those chances, like, can we go for it? Because like, even against PSG in the final, you saw like there were still a couple moments where we were near to scoring, and then it was like, right, the next one has to go in, and then it did. Do you know what I mean? Through Cole Palmer. So it's like, you have to be on it, and you know, because the moment we can see that their grounds, I think that's when there's a real shift in atmosphere. There's a real shift in, you know, it gets in your head and you're just overthinking everything. But yeah, like, just go out there, play your game, and just be on it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. You always look forward to the big games. For me, the most important thing is giving a good account of ourselves. Everything else, to a certain extent, is secondary. But obviously, if we shoot out a 1-0 win, I'll be absolutely delighted. But you are just looking for a good account to be given. Compete at the highest level with the teams. We'll get the chances, as we said. Bayern are a little bit suspect defensively. They will give up opportunities, and they will come out and play. They will leave space in behind. So we just got to make sure that we're on it with the quality of players that we do have. But moving slightly away from the Champions League, by the way, big up to everyone that's still locked in. Guys, make sure you're smashing up the likes. The like conversion rate is poor. So, yeah, guys, come on. Let's improve that. Smash the like button if you haven't done so already. It does really help out. So make sure you do that. And, of course, subscribe if you are new around here. But let's get these likes up, because right now it's looking poor and we're much better than that, people. So let's get that sorted out. I want to move on to a couple of other bits and pieces. What are your thoughts on Chelsea defensively to start with? Because we've had some news about plans for 2026. I'm told Chelsea are looking at several opportunities, for example, at centre-back. If there's a young player of some good quality for Chelsea, then it's always time for a good opportunity. Currently tracking many talents, especially from abroad. Now, this is not necessarily a surprise. Chelsea are always looking for opportunities, always looking at young players or whatever. How concerned are you by the current centre-back situation? Because for me, I think it's problematic, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying this since before Levi Colwill got injured. So if anything, my stance has grown even more on that regard. I've always said our defence across all of our other departments is our biggest weakness. I think we all know this. The fact that we can't even pick a consistent back line even this season is a problem. It's an issue. Yeah, we have injuries, but the other issue is we actually plan and prepare for this situation in the best way we could have? And the answer to that is no, because what we have at the minute at our disposal is okay. Is okay, and that's a problem in my opinion. Do you know what I mean? Like, the very fact that we've got Levi Colwill out. He was supposed to be the guy that formed a solid centre-back duo now with one of our other right centre-backs, and that would have been a real kind of growing curve and a big step in the right direction for us this season. Not his fault he's out, but then again, it's like, what's your next best pick? And I love Chalobah. I'm okay with Tosin, but that's an issue. Do you know what I mean? Because I still think that
okay is not good enough, is it really?
Exactly my point. So I'm not comfortable going into a game that my defence can keep danger out, can keep the best opposition front lines in the Premier League at bay. I'm not confident with that, and we see it gets exposed, and it will get exposed. Do you know what I mean? And I just think that, yeah, it's a real issue, and I think you can see that even Enzo Maresca hasn't quite figured it out because of the chopping and changing and the experimentation with what our best back line can be. You know, whether we're playing a back four, whether it's a back three, or however it is looking in a game, it's almost like it's trial and error, and that's not how it should be. And I think that Maresca's not comfortable with the selection choices he has, and even if he is comfortable, they're not comfortable. Do you know what I mean? It's like you can't really win. But for me, I'm not a big fan of Tosin. I've said this time and time again. Yes, he's improved, but even still, that's not for me good enough, because one-on-one, I'm concerned, and I've already seen it. Wesley Fofana, maybe he's still a bit rusty. Maybe the best version that we know of Wesley Fofana is going to come about at some point. But then again, it's like it's almost a big what if there still.
But
do you know what I mean?
when do you put him back in though? Because I've had this conversation loads of times, and when he's fit and playing his best, he's Chelsea's best centre half. Colwill and Fofana is Chelsea's best centre back pairing when they're both fit. We saw that. We saw that at the start.
That's idealism. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course it is. But like that's our best pairing if everyone's fit right now. The problem is Colwell's gone for the season, and Fofana, you don't know when he's going to be fully fit, and we've got no idea what level he is going to get to now, given the injuries that he's had. We don't really know what level of football he is going to get to and how good he's actually going to be. And you look at the other options. Tosin is fine. He's okay. Good squad option, can do a job most weeks in the Premier League and whatnot. But he shouldn't be starting every single week for Chelsea Football Club. He just shouldn't be.
Right now, he's considered the starter.
Well, this is my point. So, Fofana obviously had 45 minutes against Brentford at right back, which is a bit of a surprise in terms of him starting there. At what point do you stick Wesley Fofana in and say that this is now the starting lineup? Because for me, it should be Chalobah and Fofana, arguably, in my view, is Chelsea's best partnership for this season. But when do you bring him in? When does Fofana suddenly come in now? Because the one thing you do not want to be doing is constantly switching your centre-back pairing. You need to have the goalkeeper and the back four should be pretty set throughout the season. Certainly the goalkeeper and the two centre-backs. The full-backs can rotate a little bit. That doesn't matter as much. But you don't want to have uncertainty and be rotating your centre-back pairing. So at what point does Fofana come into this back line and stay there? Because that's what we need to be doing. It needs to be Fofana and Chalobah, in my view, and maybe Tosin plays certain games if there's a big physical threat or a big centre forward or whatever it is, and that might suit him or whatever. When do you think Fofana comes in? Do you think he does come in?
Well, he has to. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like it's not even that I want to at this point. It's like he has to, because, like I say, this version of Wesley Fofana has always been idealism more than anything. It's like, how can you even say or give the best defender, the best right centre back award to a player that doesn't play or isn't there, or it doesn't offer more than 3 games a season? And it's worrying. But is he fit or is he not? That's my biggest question. It's like, I feel like we have no clarity on what this player is. Like, is he here long term? Can he be available long term? I know no one can guarantee that when it comes to fitness, but I just still feel like, you know, especially with that decision on Sunday, it's like you see him, he gets chucked in, he's on the right, and it's like, whoa, okay, like, what's the plan here? Like, is this you introducing him slowly to come in and maybe pair up with Tosin and maybe pair up with Chalobah, like you say there, for the remaining games? Like, what's the game plan here? I don't know. Chalobah, I love Chalobah. He will make mistakes. He does make mistakes. Again, it's more like too many of our centre backs are still making a clear-cut error every single game that leads to either a goal or a goal-scoring opportunity at the very least. Do you know what I mean? And I know that it's going to happen across all of the teams, even the very best, and we've seen it from Liverpool as well. But for us, it's a bigger issue because it happens way too often. And, you're not going to get anything good from chopping and changing your back line every single game. I thought that was going to be gone. I thought that was left last year, the year before, when that's been, again, our biggest and most frequent change in the whole squad. So I don't know. I'm worried. I've always been worried about our defence. And, God willing, Reece James stays fit and Cucurella stays fit, because at least we have some sort of stability there in the fullback positions, because at this point, that's great. But, you're seeing our fullbacks cover for our centre-backs a lot as well. That's also a problem. It's a very big liability there. I'm not too sure where we go.
Yeah, no, it's a problem. And then you look at, it's not even that though. You look at the situation with the fill-in option, with the squad options as well.
Yeah.
Badiashile, obviously back in training, should return to action soon. Again, what Badiashile are you getting? If you can get anywhere near the guy that was here in the first 6 months, then there really is a player there. But if you're looking at anything since that period, then he's a massive question mark. And that for me is the biggest problem here, is that Fofana is a question mark in terms of you don't know what level he's going to get to. You don't know how fit he can stay. Badiashile, exactly the same on that front.
Yeah.
And then I love Trevor Chalobah. I think he's great, but he's really a squad option, or you need a top quality centre back alongside him. And then Tosin should be a squad option. So whatever way you want to look at it, we're short at the back. Maresca wanted a new centre back. We didn't get him one.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying it's gonna I'm not saying it's gonna cost us this season, but we're seeing now with Colwell out how much he actually brings to the team, why we should have replaced him, in my opinion. And people can say, "Oh, it's negative." It's not negative. It's having a constructive conversation about the options. Like if people genuinely think that the centre back options are great and everything's fine at the back, then that's okay. You're entitled to think that. But I don't see it that way. I really don't. So if people that think that's negative, please tell me who the good centre backs are at Chelsea right now in terms of the depth that we've got and in terms of us getting through a whole season. Because going through a whole season with Tosin and Chalobah, or Chalobah Fofana, is not. Yeah, but look, you can point to 3 goals conceded. That's fine.
That's not the point.
But it's missing the context. Yeah, okay, it's 3 goals conceded in 4 games. Okay, but let's look at those games, right? How many times were we tested by Crystal Palace in that game in terms of chances that we gave out? Barely any. We didn't really give up any chances. How many chances did we give up against Fulham? Maybe 1 or 2 in the first half. Not many after that. Fulham didn't really cause the backline too many issues other than a small period in the first half. West Ham caused us 0 problems at the back, and we conceded a screamer which Sanchez should have done better with, in my opinion. And then against Brentford, we made 2 defensive mistakes and we conceded twice. So, there is context to be applied. Yes, black and white is 3 goals conceded, but it misses the context, and it misses the context of the season as a whole, where are we happy with the options that we've got for this season? So
I think he needs to just go. Like I'd be fine, and I'd get behind him just picking one centre back duo and just sticking with it. Do you know what I mean? Just seeing some consistency over like the next 4 or 5 Premier League games. Just go with it and just see how it plays out. Because I think now more than anything, we just need a little bit more like we've got with our midfield stability, like we've got with our front line. You've got stability, but you can interchange without taking out too much quality, and it still works. I think that's what we need in our defence, and let's just go with it. If he wants to pick, I don't know, Chalobah and Fofana for now, go with it, or Tosin and Fofana, or whatever. Go with it. Just stick with it, and we can actually test it out and see how it plays out. And then if you need to make changes, then go for it, but then do it in a way that it makes sense and it's not disrupting the whole kind of, what's the word?
Balance, or
balance. Yeah, that's the word. Because I feel like it's really important. You don't want your back line changing every game. No. It doesn't help anyone. It doesn't help Sanchez even more. Like that's a real big thing. Like you say, you want your goalkeeper working and building chemistry with your centre back duo as much as possible. Like, yeah, that's it. So we'd get behind that. Just for me, Maresca, pick a centre back duo, stick with it, go with it until everyone is like, if they're fit, if they're good to go, yeah, go for it and see how it goes.
Yeah, I agree. You know, you just got to stick with one. If you think it's Tosin and Chalobah, stick with Tosin and Chalobah. Don't have one in, one out every couple of weeks or every game. You just got to pick it and stick with it. Maybe it's something we look to address in January. Potentially, we look to bring someone else in. Maybe we recall someone from loan. I don't know. But it's that's what we've got to stick with. And I look at it and I still need to be convinced that this team defensively is good enough over the course of a season. It's good enough to finish in the top 4 in terms of defensively. That centre back pairing will get you top 4, but we need to aspire and should be aspiring for more than that, more than just finishing top 4. Finishing top 4 isn't cutting it anymore. We need to be moving forwards and doing better than that. I get it. You can't address every single thing in one window, but I thought it would have been obvious that another defender was required. We tried so hard to get Dean Huijsen at the start of the window. We didn't get him. And then we didn't go for any other defenders. So we were looking for a defender before Colwell got injured. And then we suddenly decided that afterwards we didn't need one when he did get injured. So yeah, it's an interesting one. I think that the defence is going to be one to watch. We haven't really faced a top side yet. I don't think we've really been tested defensively in any of our games this season. And so I'll be interested to see how we do coming up against top quality attacking players, because right now we haven't really come up against any top quality attacking players so far this season. So that will be interesting. That'll be interesting. Yes, but that was with Levi Colwell. That was with Levi Colwell at the back. We haven't got Levi Colwell this season. That's kind of the point that's being made here. We haven't got Colwell this season. And we should have replaced him. I think now we're seeing how important he actually was to this team. A couple of other bits. Let me just find it now. Obviously, we signed Emmanuel Emegha, the Strasbourg lad, and he on a pre-agreement, and he'll join next summer. 22 years of age. He's an interesting profile. He's 6'5". He's rapid. He scored 14 goals in the French league last season. Fabrizio saying that we'll decide in the next couple of months whether we're going to bring him in January or next summer. Both are a possibility. There was obviously interest in him from other clubs as well. I don't expect you to know loads about him, but for me, given the options right now, surely it would make sense if you can bring him in January. You'd bring him in January.
So do we have the option to bring him in January?
Apparently we can decide in the next few months whether we want to bring him into the squad in January or next summer.
Okay. Well, I guess that's a good thing then, because we can assess our options and see if we do need to bring him in January. But no, you're right. I don't know anything really about the player, but I do know, and I have seen how badly Strasbourg fans have reacted to the whole situation. Have you seen their banner from their?
Yeah, it's a bit weird that I think they've gone well over the top with that, because
I think they're really angry.
Half the players they've got, they would never have if it wasn't for them being part of this model.
I do get it. I feel like I get it from both sides, because I think they should also be grateful for how much this has really elevated their team in the last years as well.
Yeah.
Like they've basically gone from battling to stay to actually charging for a Champions League spot. So like from that regard, they should be happy with their upward trajectory. But then I feel like they're being hard done by the fact that, you know, we're doing whatever we kind of want with players in terms of who we send and who we take. And it's like even with Ben Chilwell, for instance, we had nowhere to send him to Strasbourg. Now we're going to take your
that's obviously helped us on that perspective.
Because I feel like for them, it's like, well, are we fools to you? And it kind of, does say that a little bit. But yeah, I think they've been a little bit dramatic with the whole striking situation of not singing at games at the start and just being really negative towards the ownership and everything. And I know that they've had a tough time, etc. But Yeah, I mean, it seems to be doing more harm than good. I feel like it puts the player in a really bad position now as well, because he's still got to be there for the whole season, right? Or until January or whenever. And he's already lost all the fans. So I feel like from that side of things, that's the whole pre-agreement thing has really just put him in a bad situation now, because he's lost the favor of his own fans. And now he just almost has to be in a little bit of a prison till he comes
They knew this was going to happen though, because we were linked with him like a lot earlier in the summer, you know, that we were going to sign him on a pre-agreement for 2026. Like, this is not really a surprise. I don't know why we decided to announce this deal when we did. I'm not really sure of the timing behind it. I don't really get it. In my opinion, you know, you knew Nicolas Jackson was leaving a long time ago. Why was this guy not brought in as a replacement this summer? That for me would have made a lot more sense. I think as well with Emegha, there was interest from Premier League clubs, interest from Europe. I think Chelsea moved quickly to secure him so that they didn't lose out on him to someone else. And that way you've got control over the asset. And we get obviously a cheaper deal potentially than obviously another club would have got, because essentially we're negotiating with ourselves. So I'm going to be interested to see what he brings. You do need 3 strikers. I had back and forth with people in the chat all summer about this, and it's obvious you need 3 strikers in the squad. So Emegha and Delat would be 9s. Pedro would be a 10 and a 9. And it gives you another option. I think what this does do is that's end of the road, good night, lights out for Mark Guiu at Chelsea. He'll be sold next summer. I don't see where he fits in the squad. Would you agree that with Delat, João Pedro, and now Emegha, who's been signed, that where there's no room for Mark Guiu now? Surely.
What, next season or now?
No, next season. He's not coming now, but next season.
Yeah.
Like, beyond this season, he's not going to be there.
I don't really feel like Mark Guiu is part of the plan right now anyway. He's not really even being... at this moment in time, it looks like Tyrick George is the preferred number 9 than even Mark Guiu at the moment. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, well, why wouldn't this guy be ahead of Mark Guiu as soon as he comes in as well? Like, I don't think Mark Guiu is part of the plans to play at Chelsea, full stop. It doesn't look like it anyway at this moment in time. So yeah, obviously we tried to facilitate a deal there. I don't know, whatever happened, but yeah, I don't know. It doesn't strike me as that. Obviously we'll find out if Mark Guiu makes benches in the next few games, then maybe that tells me a little bit different, but at the moment it doesn't look like it. So yeah, this guy's giving me Datro Fofana vibes though.
I think it will be better than that. Will be better. He's a completely different profile to what we've got. He's really tall. And is Emegha better than Jackson? I think he's got the potential to be better than Jackson. But if we're talking at Jackson versus Emegha right now, Nicolas Jackson's a better footballer now.
So is he a pure number 9 then? I
think Emegha is an out and out number 9. So yeah, again, it gives you a different option at the end of the pitch. And I don't know. Just look at the way that the attack's been put together in terms of the number 9s that we've got. We are lacking one. We're short. You know, you talk about squad planning, and to have one injury to Liam Delap and then be fucked basically at number 9. We've done a lot of good work, by the way, in the summer, and there's been a lot of good parts of the squad building. There's been a lot of good signings. To have one injury to a striker and then be fucked is really poor squad planning. Surely the people in doing this would have thought, what happens if one of our 9s get injured?
Yeah. Well,
but you know how lucky we are that Delat went down whilst the window was still open. Imagine if it was the game after that happened.
I wouldn't call it lucky, but I see what you mean. Yeah.
No, it is though. It's fortuitous in terms of
We
got injured and the window was still open. So at least we recalled Guiu. At least we were able to do that, and it's another body. If this had happened the week after in the game after, we'd be fucked.
Yeah.
Because it would just be Tyrick George playing centre forward, alternating with João Pedro. And then you have got major problems. But I mean, yeah, it's a shame for Delap. Pedro will play a lot of minutes at number 9. Do you think he's better at 9 or 10?
9.
You think he's
I
better
think,
at 9?
yeah, do you not?
I think
I
I
mean,
think he's better as a 10, playing off a 9.
really? No,
Yeah,
I
I
disagree.
think so.
Mm,
No, you don't think so?
no, I feel like what Pedro has to offer, I feel like it's great that he can play as number 10. I think, like I said, when I spoke to you and Alex earlier this week about potentially seeing this interchangeable like front four, like how we saw against Brentford, our sort of front four changed like 3 times in that game because of substitutions, and Pedro was in and behind, like he was obviously
Yeah.
up top, and then when Tyreek George came on, it changed, and then when Cole Palmer came on, it changed. So that's quite a nice, I think, dynamic we can play on. And I think Pedro's great as number 10. But again, for me, I'm looking at it more from a perspective of I'm looking at playing to a player's strengths at max. And for me, Cole Palmer has to be in the number 10. That's just it. I don't see any other player that's better in that position than him. So I'm looking at it from that perspective as well. And I just think what Joao Pedro has to offer as a number 9 is just, again, you don't get it from anyone else in the squad at this moment in time. So I just think, yeah, for me, that's.
No, I hear that. I just look at the games where he did play as a 10 against Fulham and against West Ham.
Yeah.
And that he was very good playing as a number 10 in them games. But obviously, when Palmer plays, Palmer will play as a 10. And so Pedro is not going to play in the 10 that much. So
and I feel like you get the better version out of both of them like that.
I mean, what I would like to see at some point is the lap up front, Pedro in the 10, and Palmer playing off the right.
Wait, say that again.
So Delap as a 9, Pedro as a 10, Palmer playing off the right, but as a right, like playing inside right with Gusto overlapping, basically like in the Club World Cup final we saw. I think that's good options for us to have, but at the same time, it's I don't know. It's good to have the options anyway. That's the most important thing. But
depends on who you play as well.
Yeah, and we just got to hope this guy stays fit. If anything happens to Pedro, it's not.
God, don't say it.
It's not even worth thinking about. No, I never said he was a normal player. My whole thing about him was don't expect him to perform from day one. Don't put the pressure on him.
Yeah, but he did perform from day one. So now what?
Yeah, but my whole thing was don't put the pressure on him, or don't have the expectation.
He likes the pressure. He knows what player he is.
He has to perform from day one.
Who he is.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that he's not good. By the way, he absolutely is. My whole point was, let's not put him in a position where he has to contribute from day one, because it's an 18-year-old coming in to the Premier League. You shouldn't be having to put him in a position where
you can't use that anymore. In a world of Lamine Yamal, that phrase doesn't stand anymore.
But he's a once in a generation player, Lamine Yamal. Like those players like that don't come along very often at all. My whole point was, like, we shouldn't be, as a club, we shouldn't be in a situation where you have to put in an 18-year-old and expect them to perform from day one. That's the only thing. That was my only point. He's done very well so far.
You can't gatekeep him, Charlie. We can't do that. He's great.
No, I'm happy that he's playing. But the point that I was making is that
I get it.
The pressure shouldn't have been the expectation shouldn't be that. By the way, mate, you have to perform from day one. You know,
that's not how it is anyway. Otherwise, you'd be starting every game, and they'd be telling them
that was the point that I was that I wanted to make. I'd love him to start tomorrow night, as we discussed earlier. Let's wait and see. The last thing I want to go through, there's potential talks of a new contract for Moises Caicedo. It's obviously thoroughly deserved. Chelsea want to negotiate in advance on new contract for Caicedo. Chelsea want to give him what he deserves to avoid potential problems with other clubs in the next years. We've seen, obviously, Cole Palmer signed a 2-year extension last year. Nicolas Jackson signed a 2-year extension as well, but that obviously didn't go particularly well. And Correa signed a new deal, although that's not been officially confirmed by the club for some reason. This makes sense. Do you think Caicedo is getting the credit that he deserves from outside the Chelsea fan base? I still feel he doesn't get the praise that he deserves in the wider footballing community. I still feel he's looked at as, I don't say not good, but I don't think he gets the praise he deserves.
It's because it's jealousy, Charlie. Jealousy does that to people, you know. Jealousy and envy is a bad trait that people have.
Yeah.
It blinds them from the truth. They don't want to see it. But, you know, I don't mind. I don't need to be yelling from the roof to tell people how good Moises Caicedo is. If you watch him game in, game out, and you watch Chelsea games, then you will know that he is exceptional and he's just one in a kind right now. Moises Caicedo is our most important player. He's our most consistent player. He is always in the man of the match talks. Can always be shortlisted. You could probably always give it to him as well. So long may that continue. And I think there's nothing more to say than that. And again, I don't feel the need to compete with any other rival club to tell them that Moises Caicedo is better than their player. Do you know what I mean? I don't feel the need to do that because it's just simply there. You can see it. If you watch it, you will know it. And that's just all there is to say about it. So, yeah, I can't not speak about Moises Caicedo and be grinning ear to ear. He's just amazing. And, yeah, I just hope he stays fit and he can offer exactly what he does throughout the course of the season. But yeah, he's special. And I think, you know, maybe at some point in the next few years, this won't even be a thing where we have to shout about it. Or we have to convince or talk to people about it. It just will be a fact.
Yeah, I just think like now we're at a point where even like when he plays well, it's just like he's just used to it.
Standard practice, isn't it?
Like, because he just does it every week. You're just like, oh, that was another standard Caicedo performance. I don't think people realise like the level he's performing at and how good he has been week in, week out. He right now, for me, there isn't a better midfield player in world football in terms of current form and in terms of what he's doing on a weekly basis. You cannot overlook this guy in terms of what he's doing, in terms of the level of performance he's delivering. But again, obviously a Sugu down for 12 weeks. That was the natural sort of cover for Caicedo. We've got to hope nothing happens to him because if something happens to him. I mean, obviously Lavia is very close to being fit again, but how many false dawns have we had with Lavia? You know, he's another one where he's great and he's really important to this team and he's a top player, but he played about 10 games for us last season. So you're like, yeah, it's great that we've got these players, but I don't know what's going to happen if Caicedo can't play for a few games or something. I know you've got Andre Santos now. I know we've got a bit more options, but would you say he's our most important player? Because I think for me, I think he's the most important. I think he's more important. Yeah, I think he's more important than Cole Palmer. I think he's more important than anyone. He for me, he's Chelsea's most important player, and I'd probably say he's our best player. Yeah,
I agree with both. To be honest with you.
So yeah, just stay fit. And just give him the new contract. I'd almost say give him what he wants to a certain degree. Obviously, don't fully break the wage structure. But he should be
the very fact that you don't see the price tag anywhere around Caicedo's name anymore. Nobody talks about how much he costs. Nobody talks about how much we bought him for. Do you remember excuse me, at the start of his tenure at Chelsea, it was brought up every week. Oh, how much money did you pay for?
Yeah.
Nobody talks about how much he costs anymore. It's not even a thing you bring up. It's like, yeah, and that's how you know that not only is he living up to that, he has exceeded anything of what we valued him for in the first place and what we brought him in for. Like, we knew Caicedo was good, but I feel like he's become a whole different level, and maybe that tells you why there was so much demand. And even when clubs were sniffing in and around for him, I'd argue even then when we were buying him, he was the best in his position that was around and available in the market at the time. So, you know, it's like we're so lucky, and I think we treasure him as well, that we always give him his flowers, even after every game. Yeah, he's dropped another 9 out of 10 performance. Well done, Caicedo. You were exceptional. In our bad games, Caicedo, you're exceptional. And, he's a player that covers for others as well. When Enzo has had some of his less great games, and Caicedo's been there to cover for him as well. Another sign of a really brilliant player. You can pick up your teammates, you can cover for them. Just so much better in many ways than people give him credit for. And again, people bring up the stats and everything. You have to watch Caicedo with your eyes to see how much more he does than what stats tell you. Like, it's just as simple as that.
Last 5 minutes, just want to quickly touch on United. I know it's obviously we've got the Munich game still, but go to United on Saturday evening. The record there is absolutely abysmal. We haven't won there since 2013. How do you feel about that game? Because for me, I'll be honest, it's completely irrelevant how shit Man United are, because we've been there with miles better teams than we've got right now and lost at United. It is, I don't know what it is about the ground. It doesn't matter how bad they are, it doesn't matter how good we are. We always seem to struggle there. I would even go as far as saying I wouldn't be surprised if we beat Bayern Munich on Wednesday and lose to United on Saturday. You could easily see that happening. That's not beyond the realms of possibility. Just briefly, what are your thoughts on that game? Because surely, I mean, this United team is the worst team I think they've ever had in their history. Surely it's over on Saturday. It has to be.
I feel like we say that every year, though. That is exactly the liner that's put out before a Man United away game. It's like, this is the time. It's now or never. This is a shocking United team. And then we go there and it's like, wow, great. They decided to actually look like a good team today. And it's just like the same thing on repeat. But yeah, I mean, we have to break it at some point, right? And again, you talk about your traditional top 6 side results against Chelsea in the last few years. They've not been great at times. Like, these are the games this season. I want to go up and at least beat a Liverpool, a City, and an Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm aiming for this season. Yeah. That's where my standards are. So if that's the case, then we should absolutely be going and beating a Man United as well to complete that set. Do you know what I mean? We beat Tottenham. That's our standard practice. United has proved to be historically difficult. We know we've struggled to go up against the teams that are involved in title races and have won titles in the last years, but for us it's like, this is a game that you have to win. It's like as simple as that. So I want to say I hope and I think and we can and this and that, but it always just seems like there's something in the air when we go to play them there, and it just makes us struggle. But yeah, I mean, what was it? Caicedo's goal was
yes, Caicedo, because we went 1-0 down last season because Sanchez gave a penalty away. And then, we got the Caicedo volley to get us a 1-1. We were so bad in that game as well. Yeah. Like, honestly, horrendous.
But then again, it's like United was so excited coming into their season. Like, they saw some good signs or things that they can be excited about. It would be so typical if things like just clicked for them on Saturday against us. Like, it would just be a very annoying moment. But no, you have to. Chelsea, you must.
I mean, I know United can't get much more rock bottom than they are right now, but I'd just love to manifest a Garnacho winner at Old Trafford, and then he does his celebration where he sits on the advertising board at Old Trafford.
No, that would be insane.
I'm trying to manifest this so that this happens. That would be, they'd have to fold the club. For United, that would be the lowest low.
I feel like the amount. That would just be cinema, wouldn't it? There would be.
We can dream.
Riots at Old Trafford.
we can dream. I think it's. I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility that could happen. He'll be so up for that game as well. I think so. That would be. I mean, I'd take any way to end the record, but that would be the best way possible. I couldn't think of anything better. It would be unbelievable.
Our Nacho hat trick.
Oh yeah, obviously, but yeah, just. I mean, a Garnacho last minute winner, and he sits on the board with his celebration. That for me would be one of the best moments in football. But yeah, we'll see. We've got a few issues to get through before we get to that point in time. Guys, we're going to round it out there. A big up to everyone who has locked in. Guys, leave any show names in the chat because we need to come up with a name. We haven't got one right now, so let us know. Nina, let people know where you are, not actually where you are, but where they can find you on YouTube and stuff.
Thanks for clarifying that.
Well, if you want to let them know where you exactly you are, you feel free to do so.
Yeah, so Nina's Chelsea Corner on YouTube, and then all my social media handles are also linked on my YouTube. But yeah, subscribe. Thank you. Follow
All good.
me.
Right, guys, enjoy the rest of your day. Smash the likes on your way out. Make sure you do run the likes up, guys. Subscribe if you are new round here. We'll be back again next week. Enjoy your Tuesday. I'll be back tomorrow, guys, so make sure you stay tuned in for the show then. Love as always. Up the Chelsea, and we're out.